I'd like to say that all the regions, feel that they're different, but at the end of the day, it's the printing industry, right? They have printing assets, they have customers that require printing, they have workflows, and they have needs and they have wants.
What's up, everyone? It's Eric Vessels with Taktiful. Welcome back to another amazing episode. Well, I guess I can preface it by saying amazing. Now we have to live up to that. Of Taktiful Tuesdays. I think we're at episode 32. We're diving into the vibrant world of industrial print where creativity, tech, and partnership collide. We've tracked the journey of region manager at HP Industrial Printing, Paul McCarthy, a leader who's been instrumental in forging high-impact print alliances across North America, from leading HP's expansion in Canada and the American Midwest to celebrating major mergers and showcasing cutting-edge embellishment tech like HP Indigo and MGI. Paul brings a unique mix of strategic insight and hands-on enthusiasm. Whether he's touring partner presses from Toronto to Indiana or pumping energy into Graphics Canada, D-Scoop, Paul lives and breathes industrial print innovation. Get ready for a session that blends business wins, personal stories, and the shiny magic of digital embellishment, all powered by Paul's infectious passion for print transformation. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Wow, what an introduction. That was amazing.
Right on.
I guess you've been doing your the research on LinkedIn to see what's going on.
There's this crazy thing called Chat GPT. All you gotta do is just say, "Hey, tell me about." No, I read up, I study, I follow you. You know how it is.
Good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, yeah. The introductions have been kind of something that I sort of I slightly make fun of them but they're fun to do. But sometimes I see the guests like waiting, like, "Hey, dude, I'm right here," and it's
Now you
hilarious.
got the pace, you got to set the table, you got to set the
You gotta
stage,
get, you
you got
gotta
to set the emotion, you got to set what we want to accomplish. And listen, what you just did is no different than whatever I do whenever I'm getting ready to do a sales pitch,
You
right?
gotta set the expectations, man, and we've set the bar high. This is good. This has got to be a really good episode. I want to start off though talking about you travel all over, and you and I've seen each other literally all over the world over the years in our roles. My past role at What They Think, of course, your past role at KM, now HP for the last 7-8 years.
Almost 8 years, yeah.
What first sparked your interest in industrial print, and how did that passion lead you to what you're doing now at HP?
Interesting. I ended up having dipping my toe into industrial print back when I was with my former employer, Konica Minolta.
Hmm.
So they had some great, smaller mid-range types of presses. Had a great career there over the years. But when they came out with their technology, being the KM1, it was something new to sell, something to bring to the market. Capital assets were new to me. Somebody who's close to your heart there, Mr. Abergel, he kind of got me into the whole capital equipment sales pitch over the years, and I learned a lot from Kevin. So that was probably my first, experience with it. And at that time, it was exciting because the world didn't have many other options other than HP, and there's a few other companies, birthing their own way through it. And so we had some success, initial quick success. And when that happens, you end up getting the attention of some of the other players in the market. And that's when, all of a sudden there may be a couple of phone calls that happen. And people start to talk and say, listen, this might be somebody somebody that you're interested in looking for if you're looking to maybe possibly transform a market. And
Yeah.
so I think the market ended up talking to HP. Actually, I know that they did. And, somebody said, why don't you contact this guy, Paul McCarthy? And so that's really how the entry into HP happened. And what really got me excited about it was there's a lot of great technology out there, right? And I'm just going to not focus just on HP, but what really set HP apart, which really got me excited, was all the additional resources and assets and categories and piece that I could pull from to create just about any kind of experience. So I could go to any kind of company and say, what are your problems? What are your goals? What are your gaps? And how do you plan on getting there? And I'm able to kind of fill those. And I learned that at a very early on in my career here at HP that I had a lot of tools and a lot of depth, a lot of bench strength inside of HP to satisfy, and fill those. So yeah, that's what got going.
That's awesome, man. Sorry, I'm easily distracted. My brain can't get off the fact, like, is that an actual wall graphic?
That is. That is, I actually
All
had
right,
two
so
before. One was on this side before, but I looked like Mickey Mouse, so I had to take it off and put my head in there now.
robot's ears
I'm
up
not
beside.
joking. They said, listen, you can't ask for the order here looking like a mouse, man. So
That's so awesome. I love that because sometimes you can't tell if it's virtual, but I kept looking at it and I'm going, it's not moving, it's not fading in and out. It must be real. By the way, real brick wall, real not neon, but real light behind me that says tactical, which is our training division that I run for Tactiful. Sorry, like I said, easily distracted.
that's okay.
I saw a video that was really interesting on LinkedIn. You recently helped communities navigate a major merger in Toronto with I think it's Advertek and the Custom Color Labs. Posted a video and I caught it. What role did either both or I guess digital embellishments and HP technology play in kind of smoothing and helping that transition come together? And talk a little bit about, I know you're big, and so am I, big people person. Like the business is ultimately about people. Tell us a little bit about how that went down and your experience with those people.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'll first start with Custom Color Labs, the company that was acquired. All right, so as a long-term partner of HP's, high-end photographic reproduction organization, lots of wide format, lots of digital photo books, wedding albums, all that kind of great. Advertek, it was another organization within the city, well respected within the country and internationally. They have offset, digital. They had a few other services that they provided there, and it was certainly a target of HP's for a very long time.
Right.
It's not about going in and selling somebody something. You're trying to basically find out how am I able to help you achieve your goals. 'Cause sometimes their needs are met, no matter how good I may think my stuff is, and I can make you better. If their needs are met and their customers are happy, then there is no problem. But as the market begins to transform, right now M&A is hyper, right? There's a lot of M&A happening in the United States, a lot of it, extreme amount of it happening here in Canada, a lot of acquisitions from the US coming into Canada also. So this was Canadian to Canadian here. And so, I knew both parties extremely well, right? I've known Joe and Simon for the better part of 20 years. I've known Leo, even in my previous employment with KM, with who I was with before, selling him some embellishment, and also some of the machines that he has over there. So it's certainly going to be a good fit, knowing that two great leaderships coming together, under one roof now as Advertek. And so what had happened was when somebody is so like I'll go on now the Advertek side of things, big offset, they got they had Xerox. Digital, okay, and that was based, the extent of it to a certain degree. And then, Custom Color Labs had all, like they had an Indigo, they had a Series 3, which is a quarter size. They had a 12,000 high definition heads on it, which is a half size press. They have, embellishment presses out there with the MGI, and they have so much finishing out there up the wazoo that, you could practically do anything. So it's like a prized possession within the country. So with any type of merger and acquisition, it's going to be difficult anyways. So we knew that this was happening. We all go into NDA and nobody talks about it anymore. And we just try our best to help them adjust as the merger and the acquisition happens. Advertek, who is a non-HP partner, coming into now a high-end HP partner. And, these guys are in charge now. So they got a new lingo to learn. They've got new culture to learn. They've got new processes to learn. They have new technologies to learn. And, that's only one little tiny piece of the puzzle of all the challenges that they're going through. So when mergers and acquisitions happen, really the best thing that we can do is just be available so that when stuff goes down, we're able to respond and be fast enough to kind of get it fixed or to kind of get it moving. You're not necessarily always at the forefront of this here solving all of these things because there's workflows that got to be merging together. There's a lot of things that actually have to happen. So there's a period of time that goes by, and when things start to settle down. And what's amazing, what happened over at Advertek, I mean, their volume started going up and up and up and up and up. I mean, they're doing fantastic. So within about the 7th month mark, they really started to catch their stride. And so now they realize that they got that far on their own. So now it's time to kind of give Paul and the HP crew a call, and Ali, let's talk how we can basically, put some more volume through this here. Now we're ready to start talking our language where most of our problems are out of the way. And now how do we kind of get into bed with HP and understand how to operate with inside the confines of that infrastructure to provide as much print, as much as availability, as much value as possible. And truly, what they're looking for is just being able to print on that press when they want to do it.
Right.
On the embellishment side of things, I mean, it was a great marriage for that organization because they have some great offset, they got great digital, they've got some great embellishment with spot UV. You can build it up to 300 microns if you like. Not that everybody's doing that. Variable data foil. I mean, most of the people still in the market don't understand how amazing that is. Imagine I can actually make it one of. It costs you basically, I'm not gonna say next to nothing, but there's no pencils, no blankets, there's no runs to really do with it. You can do it right on the spot with a mask. So they're bringing a great deal of differentiation and value to the market that's separating them from just about everybody else in the marketplace. They have all the access to now digital,
Yeah.
tech, and embellishment and
Everything.
training. And
Yeah.
we're
How great. And it sounds to me like your real focus sort of going in, and I just feel from knowing you over the years, like your out of the gate focus is really people, right? Like is like dealing with that. Okay, what are you trying to accomplish? How can we build a relationship? And then kind of fit all the tech and the stuff in between that once you establish that framework. Is
yeah,
that close? Is
you
that kind of
nailed
your
it.
approach?
You
Yeah.
nailed it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me to elaborate on that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what happened a number of years ago? So I mean, I've held many roles in the last 30 years doing all of this stuff. And the first couple of years at HP, there was a lot of change happening within inside the organization that I had to do. So it was certainly very challenging. There's no doubt. And then the pandemic came along. So we all had to kind of adjust our jobs a little bit and get more involved. And so I was like, okay, how are we going to transform this country in the middle? And this is when I was just Canada at that time. So how are we going to
Right.
transform this country now when basically there's nothing on the go anymore? Nobody's doing anything. HP is a wonderful company, but I'm sure they can only be wonderful for so long. We gotta make some money. So ultimately, what I ended up doing was calling as many partners as I knew in the market, and I've known a lot over the years. And actually, my very first call, I can't believe you brought up Advertek, was with Advertek. My very first call with
Nice.
what I'm about to say to you. So the market developed what you call a six-step process, right? And that was basically, okay, so your calendar's opened up, my calendar's opened up, and so is everybody else's inside of HP. And I've discovered over the last couple of years, I got a lot of really important smart people. I don't mean important people, but really smart people across so many categories that can bring you value that you couldn't get on their calendars before within a reasonable period of time while your emotion was high. So I said, do you want to go and talk about that stuff? They said, yeah. So I said, what would you like to talk about first? And they said, well, I'd like to talk about brands. And then I said, well, what about brands? So we had our brand innovation team with Doris Brown McNally. I said, well, I'd like to know what the heck is going on, right? So they're kind of what pop culture is to a certain degree, right? They are the trend. They create all of these things, what the consumers want. So there was a
Absolutely.
past to the pandemic, something we were going at in the middle, and digital was the darling in all this to save all this. And then what are they looking for there afterwards? So we ended up having these meetings with Doris Brown McNally. So that was step one. Let's talk about what the brands are. So this is where they plan on spending money, which will have a trickle effect throughout the global supply chain and for the needs and the wants. So then I said, what would you like to talk about in the second meeting? And they said, well, I think I'd like to understand about, you keep talking about workflow, Paul, and where the business is coming from the brand. So you told me the brands got the business and you're talking about workflows. How do we get that? So then we ended up having another meeting, which was site flow and workflow slash e-commerce. So now we've told them how to basically, let's do digital gang run printing. So you're able to capture the work with like attributes so that nobody wants to do 100 sheets or 200 sheets. It's okay to do 5,000, 4,000, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that's really what that was all about. But on top of that, prior to the pandemic, there was about 500 brands and PSPs on our network doing print fulfillment. And towards the end of the pandemic, there was over 1,500, and that has exploded even since then. So now it's become a normal thing to do for these brands wanting to do more nearshoring. Now, especially with what's going on globally, that is, the pandemic was number one to give some energy, and now whatever's going on now is part two to this, and it's
Yeah.
kind of giving it an exponential effect to this. So it's becoming more important for brands to be able to, whether they want to do a cereal box, they want to do books, they want to do photo albums, they want to do whatever it is. If it's coming to Toronto and there's an aggregator in Europe or somewhere in America doing it, why have it printed in the US and shipped across the border? It's going to get a tariff possibly, and then you're going to have to sell it when you could just basically shoot it up in the cloud. It comes down to the print service provider in Toronto or wherever it is, and then basically the carbon footprint and all that.
Yeah, that distributed print models is definitely something that
Oh,
I've been
huge.
watching for years and years. But one thing I did want to, I mean, you mentioned like, Canada versus US. You've bridged that, right? Like so you've you've been both on the Canadian side of the market and the American side of the market. I'm wondering what you've experienced in terms of, are there any regional differences that impact the adoption of either digital print embellishments? Like, what have you seen in your experience?
I'd like to say that all the regions, feel that they're different, but at the end of the day, it's the printing industry, right? They have printing assets, they have customers that require printing, they have workflows, and they have needs and they have wants. Some particular areas might have more, focus, let's say, for direct mail. Like, so for my specific region in the US, the Midwest, there's a lot of big, huge direct mail houses up there and printers. So you got your SG360s, you got your American lithos, right? I mean, these are power players who are buying, 42-inch wide inkjet webs. So a lot of direct mail, right? A lot of postcards, a lot of general commercial print going through that. So in America, that's where a lot of that would be. So real estate might be a little bit less, not necessarily, downtown Chicago, but, in the Midwest region. So you'd be surprised on the size and the power of Wisconsin, right? Minnesota. I mean, it's a powerhouse, right?
Yeah.
Illinois, of course. And right now we're developing, and transforming Indiana, Kansas, and Missouri at a rapid rate. Because I was there, a couple of weeks ago, and here I needed some print done, and I wanted to get it done. I wanted to pay with my credit card and get it done on the spot and have it not the next spot, but within 36 hours. And it was sending me to printers in Canada and California. So what I'm saying is, as a gang, listen, this is where your lunch is getting eaten right now, right? We want to keep this business in state, and this is your business, right? And we have a capture system that's able to grab that volume to drive it straight down to your press if you would like to do that. So I would say the needs are the same across America. I would say the transformation and adoption um, is different per
Okay.
region. So to give you
Interesting.
a little bit more context around that. So in Canada, my goal was to make, at that time, Canada the easiest country in the world to do business with critical digital infrastructure in every urban area, critical general commercial print, folding carton, labels, folding, flexible packaging and labels. All the workflow called site flow that I just worked about with e-commerce on the front end of it. So no matter what happens, you can react to it. And so Canada now is completely set up. I mean, from coast to coast and pretty much the coast. And they're able to share work, move stuff around, cross border and all of that. So if there's tariffs, guess what? Put it up in the cloud, back down, you can bypass all of that. So basically what kind of HP said is, hey, I really like what you did there. Why don't you do that down here now in the United States? And starting in the Midwest would probably be a good thing. When I first went down there wasn't that many conversations around workflow, and e-commerce and all these other advanced things that I talk about. So I don't really talk about the press. That just finds its way in there afterwards once we go through everything.
Sure.
And that was for fear. It was probably at that time, there's certain type of maybe salespeople that don't feel comfortable with it, don't know how to explain it, don't understand the value, so they stay away from it. Well, then what you're just selling is a really expensive piece of metal, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't get into having these conversations, then what's really the benefit that you're bringing to the customer when he says, I want to grow my business? I want to increase my available printing time. I want to have visibility into this and yada, yada, yada. So I would say if we have 10 calls now, I would say 10 of them have these discussions. And the American Midwest has now since I've been there in 22, has now connected itself. They're moving work around. They're receiving global work. I've got customers that are doubling in size. That's not everybody. There's unicorns everywhere, but they're the ones that drink the Kool-Aid and move through it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's what's happened.
Yeah, that's interesting that, I think, one of the things as I was listening to you, I was reminding myself, like, part of my approach has really always been like, if I'm trying to work with a customer, I really got to become part of their business. Like, I've got to think strategically in terms of like, okay, I'm not just selling them something, but I'm selling them something in order to improve their business. So I have to understand what that business is. I have to be able to work with them in a collaborative way to say, hey, here's how to utilize this, whatever this is that I'm selling to you. Back in my media day, it was like, here's how to best leverage the media landscape, right? And not all solutions were like, some people should not do a video. Some people should always do video, right? Like, it's the same kind of philosophy. You've got to be consultative to really be successful, I think, in this day and age. So I want to ask, so one thing, you've got experience, a lot of experience at a lot of major events. You've been all over Graphics Canada, D-Scoop. We've spent some time together. What's a myth out there around this digital print embellishments that you feel should be debunked?
The cost of it. right? And the cost of it, number one, and number two is, is it digital? And because it's digital, it should be cheaper, and they put so much focus on digital. And I had this conversation this week with a number of different partners. Nobody should care how that is done at the end of the day. They shouldn't care if it's on your partner. You got a time you got to meet, an SLA you got to meet, a quality you got to meet, and an application you got to meet.
Right.
Okay. I don't think they really care how it's done. So it's really to the partner, to the printer, what's the best mix of assets that you could have inside of your organization from a hybrid perspective that's able to support your business and your customers. So you need some offset. You need some digital. You need some embellishment, and you need some workflows. So basically, one of the myths is that like sometimes I might have traditional, conventional people on a press who don't want to put work to a digital press because they just think it's better on an offset, or because they're afraid of the digital, or because in their mind it's easier. But there's a rules-based systems on these workflows that is able to capture these here based on quantities, based on quality, based on turnaround time, based on whatever that you want to come up with. So it's like a traffic cop inside of your organization. You shoot things all off over the place, fully track right through your organization, right out to getting the shipping label and out the door. Another myth is that, sometimes people buy a digital press thinking that it's going to solve their problems because they get rid of blankets and plates. Since you're treating a digital press like an offset press, and they're putting the job at a time.
It's like new problems. Like there's never going to be lack of problems. I think you know what's coming. I had a really strong visual as you were talking through that of like a tool bag and different tools, right? And I think that's a really important point to make is like whatever it is you're trying to accomplish can be accomplished with different types of tools and different mixes of tools. Now comes the point where what if a new tool is invented and an old tool isn't as effective? Well, then you just shift around what tools that you have in your tool bag. But I think that's kind of the fundamental approach of not just like, hey, I've always used a pipe wrench to do this, so that's what I'm going to use. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh no, there's this other wrench or these two other devices that I could use to make this job easier. And I think if we change our way of thinking around that, we might end up doing a little bit better.
Right. Okay.
So, all right. So you're clearly on the move. We've discussed it. Toronto, Indiana, Atlanta, Long Beach. You've been there. Like it's I've been everywhere, man. Like that's
All over the
that's
place.
Paul, right? I've been to Reno, North Dakota, something, whatever. I don't know all the cities that's in the song. When you're on the road, what's your go-to travel snack or like comfort ritual? Like what do you do that kind of like, I don't know if maybe it brings a little bit of home memories or just comforts you, but like what's go-to travel snack?
When I depart Toronto every Monday or Tuesday morning, I go to the same restaurant. I get the same cup of coffee with the same egg sandwich, and sometimes if I'm not trying to think too healthy, sometimes I get a poutine that fried or something like that to go with it. But for the most part, I will.
18. Yeah.
Yeah.
For those aren't who aren't in the know that might be watching, poutine is basically, and I discovered this in my 20s on a trip to Quebec. It's basically French fries with cheese curds and brown gravy poured over it. It's delectable and delightful. It's probably not really good for you, but it's outstanding. So, but you have that regular.
That's the same spot every time. And then the other is Starbucks. We call it Americano miso here in Canada, and I'll have the little egg bites, and there you go. I got my protein, I got my caffeine, and I'm good to go for
Hey,
the.
those egg bites are really good. I'm a cold brew guy and I do the egg bites sometimes, maybe the spinach egg wrap or whatever. Try to stay a little bit healthy. Obviously, not always. We gotta splurge a little bit. Have some poutine every now and then.
Yeah.
So outside of print, what's something not industry related that you're passionate about or a hobby that recharges you for your next go round or travel session or work session? What do you do outside of work?
There's a few things, so at this stage in my career, my life right now, so I'm 52 now. I would say things. I mean, look, I've always loved this industry. I love performing in it, and I love serving it. Now being with HP, it's a whole nother level again where I'm able to provide so many more services. So it's hard to stay on top of that. But what I do on my spare time is I do a lot of disc golf.
Do
So
you
I'm a
really? No way.
huge disc golf player. I
Hey,
play in national
listen,
tournaments, provincial tournaments. I play in the US with my reps.
you are talking to the
Don't tell
reigning
me you're a disc golf player. Come on.
Paul. How did we not know this?
Oh man, I've got like
I was
over
I was
350 games
I was
done.
the Ohio senior champion for my age group.
No way. Holy
Yes,
cow, man. When I see you
huge
next,
disc
we are
golfer.
going to do it. Even at HP in Corvallis, they got a disc golf course in the
Hey, I've got one of the little rolling things that you can sit on and store. I forget what the brand name is called, but I've been into disc golf since I was in like my 20s. It's amazing. Amazing, amazing sport.
yeah. So that's one thing. The other is my other big passion is motorcycle riding. So I've got I had four
What?
motorcycles. I just sold one, so I got three now. And I just came back from a trip with my father to Montana. We drove down to the road to the sun. We went over the top, came back
Yeah.
down. Got a big old tattoo on my arm, myself and him on there. So that's there forever now. We've been doing that forever. My parents used to own the motorcycle shop when I was younger and the racetrack, and now he was motocross kid growing up. So yeah, that stayed with me forever.
How did we
And
not know these things?
there you go. We know
I
now.
have up in my barn is a 2016 Softail Slim and a 2003 Indian Chief, and I've ridden.
No way. Okay. I got a Hurley 2012 Ultra Classic Limited, 2000 V Max, KLX 250. Sitting down there right now for whatever mood I'm in. So yeah,
Let's
motorcycle riding, disc golf. I love reading. Uh, Huge reader, probably got two books going on most times. I don't watch
classic.
movies on the planes anymore. With the oddest thing, I don't watch anything on TV, or it's on TV on the move on the planes. I don't
Yeah.
even do work on the planes because it's I don't know what type of mindset I get in. It's where I do most of my videos from also, because I kind of get that inspired moment going through the airport. Maybe it's the people, maybe it's the activity, maybe I don't know what it is. But anyway,
I find that driving, people think that I'm crazy, but like anything, I will only fly if it's like would take 8 hours or more to drive because I get in the car and like I do some of my best thinking. Obviously try not to be on my phone, but with Siri now, I can just have it start a voice memo or a note, just to capture my thoughts or whatever. But yeah, I get in the same kind of mode flying too. It's like kind of a thinking. I don't really necessarily want to be distracted. I want to like be creative. That's interesting.
well, here's something crazy for you. When I was younger, the younger version of Paul, so sales is tough and knocking on doors.
You're still young, Paul. I have to
Still
say,
young. Okay, let's
you
say the
said you
20.
said 52, and I'm like 4 years older than that. I was just like, listen to this youngin.
Look at this youngin. But I used to, so let's say in my late 20s, if and I was always managed, but if I was with reps or if I was out there trying to make an important call and trying to make an impression, I had to sometimes be driving. So versus making a call back how I used to do back then, I used to put so much pressure on myself that you'd almost mess it up. So I found out by accident by driving around the car one time talking to somebody. So you're half distracted by driving, which means your subconscious is a little bit more relaxed, be able to focus on not getting yourself wound up. And
Yeah,
I found that my calls were much more effective to get that face to face or whatever. The weirdest thing ever was like a little Paul hack that I found out with the younger
interesting.
version. So yeah, driving around the
I
car
love
with me
that.
was a big.
I love that. I love the concept of like give your brain something else to do so that it doesn't mess up what you want it to do.
Oh yeah, just saying the words I'm supposed to say, and the next thing, why am I talking like a robot?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Why can't I just
I,
be
I
a guy who talk?
I'm like as ADHD as anyone else, so I have to find those kinds of hacks. So I appreciate you sharing that. I had never thought about that before. That could make. Of course, I'm at the point in my career now. I think like I rarely get nervous. Like I'm just like once you get to a certain level of experiencing stuff, you're kind of the good nervous in terms of like game day nerves or whatever, but
Right.
never in terms of like having it really shut you down or whatever. Well, Paul, this has been fascinating, man. Thanks for finally getting on the show. Just editor's note here. Paul and I've been trying to connect on this for literally months I think since I've been at Taktiful, I was just like, hey, come on the show or whatever. So we finally got it done and it was
Finally did it.
fantastic. I appreciate you spending some time with me. I'm sure I'll see you on your journeys with all that you're doing for HP and for the industry. Thank you. You bring a lot of energy and you bring a lot of experience and you're an advocate. Like lots of us out here, we're trying to make the world a better place through print and specifically make the world a better place for printers and for OEMs alike. So let's just keep raising that bar,
100%.
keep rising the tides so all the ships can float at a bit of a higher level. But thanks for all that you do, and thanks for sharing everything with us and getting a little personal too. I always love that. It's one of my hallmarks of the Tactical Tuesday podcast is to kind of peer in and get to know people better. And I'm glad I did because of like I've got so much
Now
in
you know me a
common
little bit
now
more.
that
Next time we're going somewhere, we're going to reach out. You got your disc with you? We'll take some discs and, what's your favorite one? Mine's the Mamba. What's yours? I love Understable.
yeah, I love a good understable too. I've been I've been throwing a lot of Castoplast discs. There's some of my favorites that I'm throwing. It's a brand out of Europe. I think it's Swedish. Yeah, I don't necessarily have like a go-to disc. I probably use too many. I should probably narrow my range.
Done that over the last couple of years. So I just got a
Yeah,
handful. When I do the tournaments now, and I'm dragging my Zuka bag around everywhere and pulling my arm off. So I got my three.
yeah.
I'm good to go.
Well, I'm gonna one of these days I've got a little knapsack thing on the side of my Harley. I'll throw 2 or 3 discs in there, and we'll go ride and throw some discs
There
someday.
we go. There we go.
I love it. Well, thanks for being on the show.
All right. Thank you so much, Eric.